In this series of short films, Steph Strange answers frequently asked questions about how reading for pleasure and sharing stories can greatly improve literacy, the particular issues around books that may be faced by children in care, and how you can help your child on their journey to becoming a reader. What are your tips for sharing stories?
So it's really hard to kind of give top tips because it really depends on what's happening with that child at that time. So I tend to ask quite a lot of questions about what's going on in the story, try and make it interactive. So how do you think this person's feeling right now, or what do you think is going to happen next? But if they're really enjoying the story, don't feel you have to keep asking questions because it kind of ruins the flow. If they're struggling with attention, then as I said before, keep going if possible, because they will most of the time come back to you, and if they don't, just hearing you there in the background is going to be doing a lot of good. But on the other hand, if they're really just not enjoying the book, then don't feel you have to finish it. It's not necessary to finish every single book. But again, on the other hand, if it's because they're just struggling with attention, then it's going to really help them if they can keep kind of persevering. So what I've done in the past is to say, oh, I'd really like to finish this book, I want to know what's happening at the end. But after that, we won't have it again. So that kind of increases their attention, but also kind of makes them think about empathy as well. So thinking, oh, Steph really likes this book, so I'm going to keep going just to try and get it for her. Another thing I'd remember is that it doesn't have to be long. So 2 or 3 stories take about 10 minutes or so that's absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be hours a day. 10 minutes will do the world of good.
Is there anything I shouldn't do?
So we've talked about how picture books are really good for increasing literacy, so things like vocabulary and sentence structure, but it's important not to focus on attainment as it has a negative impact. So you can point out things like Hairy McHairy from Donaldson's Dairy, point out the rhyming words there, but you don't then have to kind of bang them over the heads with it and say bottomly pots covered in spots and every single rhyming word in there. Just have fun with the story and make it interesting. If children struggle to finish books, then repeat their favourites again and again. What I do often is have their favourite book there and we say we're going to read this new book first, it might become a favourite, and then as an incentive we've got this favourite book to have afterwards. Lastly, try and think about books that might be triggering for some reason. So Owl Babies is a classic one there. It's about 3 owl siblings who wake up and their mother is gone and they're talking together about being scared that she's not going to come back, or a fox has eaten her, etc, etc. In the end, the owl mother comes back and says, "What are you worried about? You knew I'd come back." Lovely story, but obviously you can see why it might be triggering for some children, and we have known it to be really upsetting for children in school before, so just have a quick flick through, make sure it's not going to upset them. That's not to say avoid every single book about families. Actually, it's really good for them to see kind of a normal role modelling family in there, and often picture books use animals instead of people, which kind of gives it that step removed. So yeah, just have a quick flick through first, make sure it's suitable.